Hey folks, and welcome to this video on brand identity guidelines, or as they're sometimes called, logo guidelines. Now, I have actually done a video on this subject and you can find it on my YouTube channel, but since posting the video up, I've had multiple requests from people for me to run through an actual set of brand identity guidelines so that you can see exactly what I was talking about in the previous video. So let's just get straight to it. Okay folks, so here we can see the cover page for the brand identity guidelines for Delante, and this was a project I did in conjunction with the Profitable Firm, who specialise in working with accountancy firms. So let's move into the document itself. So we've got a very brief introduction just saying what the purpose of the guidelines are, and then another few paragraphs just talking about how your brand shouldn't be compromised and how these guidelines will ensure that that's the case. And then we're on to the logo design itself. So here we have the Delante logo shown in its primary colours, and then on the next page we have the logo as it would appear in black and white. Then we have the logo usage. And the first thing that we see here are exclusion zone and minimum reproduction size. Now the exclusion zone is basically the amount of white space that should always be left around your logo. Otherwise you could find if you give your logo to another company to use and say they're making a publication or a brochure, they may put your logo quite close to some blocks of text or some imagery, and your logo gets a bit lost. So what you want to do is you want to specify minimum amount of space that must always be left around your logo. Now I use X sizes, so I'll choose a part of the logo, give that the specification of X, and then the space around will be a fraction of whatever that X size is. It just makes it easier to work out rather than having specific numbers which could change at every different size of your logo. Below that we've got minimum reproduction size, and this is basically the smallest size that your logo can be reproduced without it losing detail or becoming illegible. Then we're on to basically don't distort your logo. Don't allow people to squash it or stretch it to fit a specific space that they have. Your logo should always appear as it does here in the box marked correct. Then we've got the next one, which is contrast or lack of contrast between your logo and a background colour. You need to make sure that your logo stands out and is clear. In this instance, the blue colour clashes a little bit with the grey and it's not really all that legible. So in this instance, what we would do is we would opt for the white version of the logo, and as you can see, it's much clearer than the colour one above. And then again, talking about distortion, but this time of individual elements within the logo. Sometimes people just mess around and you really don't want that. You want it to look as it does in the box marked correct. Colour changes. You'd be surprised at how often colours will be changed in your logo just on a whim. I have no idea why, but it does happen, and it has happened to some of my clients. So you need to specify again that colours cannot be changed from the colours which are listed inside the brand identity guidelines. If you're creating an advert or someone's creating an advert for you, you don't need to go over the top with your logo. You just need to have it once in a fairly prominent place, and that's enough. Going overboard with it and dotting it around just to try and make sure people definitely see your logo isn't a great idea, because it looks a bit silly and it just really messes up any flow or layout to the advert. Then we've got the colour scheme itself, and on this page what I've done is I've got two blocks here for the two colours. Now the logo may have 3 colours, it may have 4, but what we do is we specify the Pantone colour references, CMYK, RGB and hex codes. That way it's a very easy reference if you need to give a colour code to a printer or anyone else that's producing a piece of branding material for you and they require your logo colours. you can quickly give them to them without having to go back to your designer and ask them what the colors are. Here we can see again, this is a bit like the contrast page that we had, but it just shows the logo on different strengths of grey or black, and also a few different colors, and how the logo should appear or what option you should use for your logo. So we've got the color one on the top two backgrounds because they're quite light, and then we've used the black one in the middle row because obviously on the left hand side we have an orange background which would not show up the orange triangle, so we've gone with black. And then we've got the red one below that, which does again still interfere with the orange a little bit, so we've gone with the white option this time, and then the same on the right. Then we're on to typography. So I specify the typography which has been used in the actual logo mark itself, albeit there has been some adaptation to the letters, but this is the logo typeface that was used, Anaheim Gothic. And I also have listed a primary typeface which works well with the logo typeface, so for things like body copy, headlines and subheadlines. And that's the last page in the brand identity guidelines. So there you have it. That's a simple set of brand identity guidelines. I hope this, in conjunction with my previous video, explains to you why they're important and why you should have a set for your business, or if you're a designer watching this video, why you should be creating brand identity guidelines for your clients. So thanks for taking the time to watch. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and please make sure to share it on your social channels because it really helps me out. And until I see you next time, stay creative, folks.